ZP6 surprised me, not in an obvious way. The association and the marketing tells us that this grinder is for lightly roasted coffee and, of course, clarity. That's a label. To me, that's a limiting belief. It just simply is. Don't get me wrong, I did use this grinder for lightly roasted coffee, especially initially. I wanted to see if my disdain or hatred or indifference towards light roast was going to be improved with this particular grinder. And it was, to an extent. Did I get clarity? Yes, I had to like just push myself to see it for more than what it was, if that makes any sense. It was subtle in its ways. And other coffees worked better than others. Then I started to realize, like, wow, this grinder is pretty cool. This is exactly what people are talking about. So, with this grinder, since I'm not really good at listening, I started to venture out. I started to test it on medium roast, dark roast, all different origins, even doing some blends from time to time. It was pretty cool to get to know the grinder a little bit more. I do like the fact that literally everything is right here for you. That's one of my biggest gripes with grinders, with hand grinders, is that it's very hard to know exactly where you're at. In this particular grinder, it goes a little past 0, I believe, or barely at 0. And then it goes all the way to like 1.5, so 11 total big clicks. But I love that it's honest. It's not lying to me. What I mean by that is that in any grinder, we all have our sweet spots. This grinder to me is about 5.5 all the way down to 2. 2 for lightly roasted coffees, of course, if you're really trying to push that fast extraction, if you have one of those filters and all that good stuff. But again, I started to venture out. Not because I was bored, but I was just curious, because everybody says that this grinder isn't the thing that you need to use when it comes to other coffees. There's other coffee grinders out there. Something that's not as clear, something that's not as like distinctly tasted profile that you'll get from this grinder. So like I said, I tried it on my medium roast. And then I was shocked that I kept going finer and finer and finer. Not light roast fine, not too fine, more like 3. And as I sat there and drank my coffee, I wouldn't say it was the best shit ever, but it gave me a different taste and sensation that I haven't really gotten from other grinders. It rivals really expensive grinders in that department of clarity and like nuance of what you're actually tasting in your coffee. And then I tried it on dark roast. Tried it on a Kenyan. Tried it on another coffee that's extremely fruity. It's tasty. That does its job to me. Has that right amount of sweetness, just a little bit of acidity, probably an 80-20 split. But for me, that's what works for me. So I tried it on it at a 5. Tasted fine, no issues. It's kind of hollow, actually, to be honest. Then I kept going finer, and I went to 2 for a dark roast. It was fine. It worked. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I just sat there for a little bit wondering why it was working that way. Why I was able to extract goodness out of coffee. A device that doesn't even have its business being there, especially to, the marketing gurus of Suppresso, right? I can't blame Suppresso. All of them do it, right? We put different labels on things and we say that this is what you're going to taste. This is what you're going to experience. I do it too. I do it too with my coffee. So, balanced, flavorful. It is most of the time, but as you see, I'm just here, just riffing, letting you know that I, from time to time, don't like what I'm drinking, and I'm the one who roasted it. So yeah, it worked. And then I started to think a little bit more about this whole situation. I'm really taking this apart. I'm actually trying to do that. I'll do that eventually to really clean it really well. But it's different. One of the things that I started to notice with this particular grinder is that the grinds were fluffier. And I love fluffy grinds. I know it's kind of weird saying that. And then when I was kind of shaking it and moving it around and all that good stuff, when it was inside the brewer, I really didn't notice too many fines. The grind is fast. Not K ultra fast. That's a story for another day. But it's a pretty fast grinding experience. And pretty much for the most part, especially if you don't go to like 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it may be, you're going to be in pretty good company. Just be honest with yourself. You're not going to use any of that other stuff. Even if you use a French press, you're going to go a little bit finer. Just my suggestion. Try it whichever way you want to. But I noticed the grind was actually where it needed to be. Like I'm talking about the consistency of it. And I was like, the way that the burrs are, it doesn't produce fines. So that's where you can get that clarity. That's where you can get that extra element of less bitterness or no bitterness, depending on the situation. For the most part, I've got no bitterness, even out of that dark roast that I mentioned before. So then it all started to make sense. I was like, okay, it's a very precision made grinder. It's mainly strictly for pour over because that's what they want to stay in their lane in, which I really appreciate that. I mean, me being a pour over person, it really does work. I think it does work for like a drip too, of course. I think it does work well for other applications. Espresso, no, I guess I'm different. Suppresso makes something. Ken grinder with the K6, I think that's a better option for you. Even probably the K7, I don't know. I haven't tried it. I'm not getting that. And then I just kept thinking about this particular grinder. How easy it is to use. How precision made it is. How there's little to no fines. And I know that's a characteristic. I know that's a profile that's very unique to this particular grinder, and other grinders kind of like it. Minus the, whatever that grinder is over there, the sculpture, whatever. That's unique in its own way. But this one, with the characteristics that it has, it's really good for most coffees. Who really wants to deal with all the fines in their cup of coffee? Don't get me wrong. Sometimes when you have a little bit of fines, just like the Fellow O2 has a lot more fines in it depending on the coffee, especially like a dark roast, it blends it in very perfectly to where it's just a perfect maceration of coffee flavor. There's no like isolation. This one will isolate the crap out of the coffee. You start seeing layers and all that stuff. And after a while, you start using it, you start losing that whole jam. But I guess what I'm really saying here is that this grinder works for more coffees. And that's what I'm talking about right now. It's that label thing that we keep putting on things. It's like, if it does this thing, then we can't do other things with it. I'm not saying that's not true. Like an espresso grinder, I wouldn't use it for pour over, for French press. Yeah, you go a little bit coarser in that sense of the game. There are specialized tools for the job. This one is actually more open. It's actually more accessible. It's actually more presentable in other ways that you didn't even think that was possible. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned about this particular grinder. We put labels on it. Like we put labels on everything else. And when we do that, that just stops us right in our tracks. Like, we can't use it for this. We can't do this. We can't do that. But can we? Should we? Yeah, we should just try it all. Why not? It's there for the taking. It's there for us. It's one of those things to where, why not? I mentioned this earlier in one of another talks I did. You're drinking for yourself. If it says this, who gives a shit? Try it on something else that you like. See what you like about it. Not everything is going to work for this or that. But the biggest thing is that you're just trying, you're just exploring, you're just experimenting. You're stripping away those labels so then you can actually get there with that particular coffee. Because that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about coffee again. We're just talking about trying to bring the best out of the coffee. So this does it for me. It does its job very well. Does it have a particular profile? Yes, it does. Is it a little thin sometimes? Yeah, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. Does it blend the coffee very well like other grinders? No, it doesn't. Fell really short at that. It sucks really bad at that. That's like everything else though, right? So as I was drinking my coffee and experiencing my coffees, I will let you know this. In lightly roasted coffees, that coffee just keeps going. The acidity is just singing even more so. Sometimes you get different variations of the acidity in the cup. Is it complex? Yeah, it is. It's different. It's a little trippy. But I'm not going to lie, after a while, it kind of just blends in together because of what you're doing and tasting. But even at a 2, no bitterness whatsoever. Just more complexity when it came to this whole acidity part of it. Medium roast. Depending on the medium roast, it may bring out different things. I just had a Colombian. Absolutely amazing. So very fruity. The acidity was there. It was very pronounced, but not offensive whatsoever. The sweetness even showed up to play. I just couldn't believe it. I almost hoarded that coffee and almost destroyed it just because I didn't want to drink more of it, just because it was just like, it was so damn good. I got this Ethiopian coffee. I'll let you know. It's not bad coffee. It's a very slow drawdown. It has that hit of Meyer lemon just right in your mouth and then it dies down. This amplifies it a little bit more. It gives it its legs. It does. It's not bad. It's still not my thing with that particular coffee, but it works for me. It may work for you. I hover around about 4.5 to 5 for a medium roast. I use different brewers. They all kind of mimic different things, but for the most part, you're able to extract whatever you want out of the coffee, which is great, right? You don't have to go down to 2 all the time. You can actually stay and hover about 3 to 4 for a lightly roasted coffee, 4 to 5 for a dark roast coffee. For medium roast coffee. If you go a little bit finer, that's fine. But it does something to the acidity to where it's like pinches it. It like just squeezes it even more so. So I don't know if that's what you want, but it can work just depending on the coffee. It's in a dark roast. Something that I'm not supposed to be using this device for. It's my device, so I do whatever the fuck I want to, right? Same with you. It isolated it. It kind of just gave it its legs. It gave it its purpose a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. I like that fineness of the vines in coffee sometimes, especially when it comes to a darker roast. It blends in really well. Just gets juicier and just more presentable and stuff. But as I kept grinding this coffee that one time, the coffee didn't even really give up. It was just kind of more so indifferent to it. It was letting you know that this is the max. This is what I can do for you. Sit there, pay attention, and experience me for what it is. It wasn't bitter. The acidity showed up a little bit more. And it was quite amazing. Gave you that different degree of separation that you're not accustomed to when it comes to dark roast. I'll leave you with this. Just push past the labels. This grinder is pretty cool. It's heavy. Got a cool handle. You can pull it out and stuff like that and all that. This works for a K6, K2 Ken grinder. If you want to know. If you didn't know, it does. The handle. It does a good job. Just don't put it in a box. Try it. Experience it. See what it's all about. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, just like I was. Let me know what you think. Talk to you later. Bye.